Still no Legend Z news? Good. What's up, everyone? So I was watching a video titled Atmosphere in Pokemon Regions by Internet Pitstop, real cool channel by the way, highly recommend checking out. And while watching it, it got me thinking, a lot of these regions seem like really cool places to live in. I wonder which region I would live in if given the choice. So that's how I came up with the topic of today's video. If you don't like it, then blame that guy. So let's set some ground rules first. For the purposes of this discussion, I'm not going to be taking into account any of the specific Pokemon found in each region. I'm just looking at the locations themselves, the aesthetic of the region as a whole, the towns and the activities to do with them, the routes of their scenic landscapes, the shady guy behind the back alley selling illegal Slowpoke tails for $2 mil a pound, everything you would look for in a place to live in real life. For this reason, I'm also not going to factor in any of the numerous terrorist organizations throughout the series, because if I took that into account, then the only safe place to live is Hey You Pikachu Land. But with that all out of the way, let's start this off by discussing the one and only... Kanto. Such humble beginnings. Out of all the regions, I would say Kanto is by far the most simplistic. Much of the routes all have the same grassy aesthetic to them, with a lot of the towns having a peaceful and laid-back feeling to them, especially this one. However, there are some standouts here. Vermilion City has a nice ocean view with cruise ships passing through. Saffron City serves as the big hub of the region for those who enjoy city life. Celadon boasts the big shopping mall in the land, and there's this one route which would be perfect for fishing up a level 100 shiny Magikarp. But unfortunately, most of the towns do end up feeling very similar to one another. With all that said though, let's take a look at some of the amenities and entertainment found within the region. For starters, we gotta talk about the Safari Zone. Who doesn't love going out into the wild and chucking rocks at a local Kangaskhan trying to find food for its young before hucking balls at it only to escape and run away for some reason? Not every region has this, so I gotta give credit to the ones that do. We also got the Cycling Road, which honestly just seems really cool. A giant road on an incline that stretches out for seemingly miles. Do you even know how much broken bones I would get trying to do wheelies while going fast as possible? Sign me up yesterday. In Let's Go, we see that the people can actually watch people taking on their gym battles, which could be cool, I guess. Who doesn't want to see little Timmy's Metapod get crushed to death by rocks of Onyx alive? I guess you could also be like this guy and try to peek into the all-girls gym if you want. And how could I forget to mention the classic game corner? Gotta teach your kids the joys of gambling while they're young. A lot of the activities to do in Kanto are very laid back compared to some of the other regions. I think if you're on the older side, this would be the nice place to retire to, you know? Just sit back on the porch and yell at kids passing by with their level 7 Mankeys to get off your lawn before you send Chuck on them. That's the dream right there. But overall, Kanto succeeds in having that nostalgic feeling of a laid-back countryside with both the upsides and downsides that come with it. Don't expect businesses or bars to be open past 9 PM over here. But now, let's go to the left of Kanto. Oh, Johto. Just looking at the artwork made for these games just makes it look so cozy. From all the autumn leaves in the air, to distinctly Asian-style architecture in a lot of the towns, Johto above all else has a deep respect for history and culture that radiates throughout the entire region. There is no better example of this than the Burn Tower in Ekritique City. Once a shining beacon for the townspeople, it soon got struck by lightning and burned to the ground, leaving nothing but ruins. Instead of simply getting rid of the rubble and rebuilding the tower, however, the townspeople instead chose to keep the ruins as they were a reminder of the past and made a new tower elsewhere. And then there's things like the Bellsprout Tower, the lighthouse in Olivine City, the ruins of Alf. There's a lot of cool landmarks to see that all have historic value, which gives the region some culture points. And one thing Johto has that no other regions have is a direct link to another region in the form of the Magnet Train. While realistically you could either just take a ship or fly anywhere you want, being right next to Kanto and vice versa could offer up some cheap vacation ideas. But now let's look at some fun things to do here. The first thing that comes to mind for me is the Pokeathlon. This is the closest you're going to get to the Olympics in this world, so we will take what we can get. Then of course there's National Park, a very soothing place with a weekly bug catching contest to partake in. The game corner that used to inspire gambling now teaches kids the cruel, harsh reality that is Voltorb Flip. Also, Goldenrod serves as the metropolitan hub of the country, with the aforementioned Magnet Train being here as well as the mall and underground. There's this cool forest that's protected by a sacred deity, and the town next to it you can even trade apricorns for exclusive Pokeballs. And of course, how can we forget about the premier couple spot of the region? Lake of Rage! Oh yeah,
Lake
baby,
of Rage
MVP.
Lake of Rage
Oh
every day
yeah,
of the week,
brother.
baby.
There's even more places than what I just listed, but I think you get the idea. Johto is a beautiful region drenched in culture, but still some modern amenities to make it a premier choice for living in. But now I think it's time we look at something a bit more advanced. But first, let's hear someone else's opinion on what region they live in.
Hi, so when Super Dude Bro asked me what Pokemon region I would choose to live in, I was kind of shocked to realize I'd didn't have an immediate answer, but after really reflecting on it, I'd say Kanto or Johto. And now before you get your pitchforks and torches, Gen 1 or Gen 2 or also, I guess, Gen 1.5. I'll be the first to admit that Kanto is probably one of the more boring regions. It doesn't have all the varying terrains and different areas, big cities, all that. Yeah, that's fine. In every Pokemon from Gen 3 on, the endgame legendary always causes some fucking end of the world. Sky turns red, ground starts shaking, the world starts flooding, everyone's gonna fucking die. That happens at least at one point, alright? In Kanto, all the legendaries are just chilling in caves. Mewtwo, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, they're all just fucking chilling in caves. They don't give a fuck, right? They're just chilling, alright? So, like, the only real problem in those two that I need to worry about is Team Rocket, which is essentially the Mafia, but it's a Mafia that insists majorly, not all of them, of course, but the majority of it consists of, like, Rattanas and Zubats. So, like, if fucking most bug trainers can take it, I think I'll be fine. Also, Fuchsia City's gym leader is a ninja who does ninja moves and shit. That's just, I mean, that's just cool as fuck.
Oh yeah, now we're talking. If Johto was the autumn region, then Hoenn is spring break, baby. Right off the bat, the most noticeable thing about Hoenn is the sheer amount of water. If you're someone who loves boating and is of the suns out, buds out mind space, then this is the perfect place for you. And for all you die-hard ocean lovers, might I recommend checking out Pacific Log Town, an entire settlement floating on wooden rafts. I'm not sure how they survive sea storms or hurricanes, but let's not worry about that. The opposite of that would be Fortree City, a town who saw the KND treehouse and said, yeah, I want that. It's a big hub of interconnected treehouses giving a sense of community. Apparently Pokemon just fly in through people's windows and everyone just accepts that. There's also the active volcano with one route being covered in a thick layer of volcanic ash, which then the ash can be turned into flutes. There's towns like Slayport and Lily Cove, which both have beaches connected to them, serving as the big towns of the region. Hoenn thrives off its tropical feeling with a wide variety of town and route aesthetics that are sure to please anyone interested in moving here. Just remember that anyone under the age of 18 must sit in the back of the moving truck. I don't make the rules, just enforce them. And don't worry, there's also plenty of exciting things to do here. Contests are the main appeal here, where coordinators compete in big old talent shows that show off their Pokemon's appeal. While aside one of the games, in the show is pretty much just as big as the Pokemon League Challenge, so if you're not a fan of watching Pokemon fight to the death, then this might be a fun alternative. You already know my main mon is styling up on that stage. The best part is that multiple towns have contest halls, meaning you don't have to drive far to catch a show. And one thing that's really cool about the ocean of Hoenn is that you can actually dive underwater and interact with all the Pokemon living under the sea. It's like that one mission in Pokemon Snap, except you can actually walk up to Clawitzer and break its big meaty claw off if you so wish. Except Clawitzer actually cannot be found in Hoenn, so ignore that. But still, there's also a cycling road here. But if I'm being honest, it doesn't really compare to Kanto's. Not saying it's bad, just not as good. But then we got Marvel City, which recently got a massive overhaul and serves as the tourist trap. This is where all the good restaurants / shops are. And for you refined folk out there are several museums, such as the Slayport Oceanic Museum, the Lily Cove Art Museum. There's even a space station in Moss Deep. But for all my battleheads out there, may I introduce you to the Battle Frontier, an entire island filled with battle facilities, each with different rule sets and wildly different visual themes. A competitive battler's wet dream, some would say. If only it wasn't still under construction! I could go on about Hoenn for a while, but in short, it's a colorful region filled with exciting activities to do and memorable places to see. If you know a guy from Hoenn, he was probably the cool kid at school. But let's step out of the sun for a second and go somewhere a little cooler. I feel like winter is one of the more divisive seasons out of the four. Some people either love the look of the snow falling on the ground and all the fun things to do in the snow, while others hate how depressing it looks when it's not snowing and get annoyed shoveling their driveways and cleaning off their windshields while waiting for your car to warm up. Regardless of where you stand on the matter, Sinnoh is the coldest region to date, with the main characters designed reflecting that fact. Looking at the map, the thing that pops out the most is the gigantic mountain range splitting the region in half. This mountain range is titled Mount Coronet and is the main attraction of the region. The mountain itself has pathways leading north, west, and east, meaning travel is not a huge issue. Additionally, if you manage to trek all the way to the top, you can visit Spear Pillar, where long ago some Arceus worshipper terrorized a generation of children with his origin form Giratina. Looking at the towns in Sinnoh, there's a healthy variety to choose from. Jubilife is the big city and offers a more laid-back kind of vibe, as opposed to the hustle and bustle nature of Goldenrod or Castelia. Hearthome exists as the contest hub of the area, although here they are called Super Contests. Ooh. While only in one spot this time, at least this spot also happens to feature a park made to walk around with your Pokemon. Also, this town has the only church in existence, so if you're religious, then this is pretty much all you got. And there's also some more chill towns scattered about, like Solaceon and Celestic Town. Nice laid-back countryside type B, you know? But if you're looking for scenery above all else, then allow me to introduce you to Floroma Town. The flowers really do speak for themselves. While small, this little settlement is perfect for people trying to connect with nature. And if you're like me, you love miners. Wait a minute! You like people who play Minecraft. No! Then come on down to Orgberg. You'll be finding diamonds in no time. Just don't dig too deep or else you'll end up in the nether, though this also resembles the end more. And if you can't wait for Shrek 5 to come out, then might I suggest checking out Pastoria, home of the Great Marsh, Sinnoh's version of the Safari Zone. And we can't talk about Sinnoh without mentioning Snow Point City. I've always loved the vibe of Snow Point, just snow everywhere, the Regigigas Temple in the center just standing there menacingly. And of course this part of Sinnoh is perfect for skiing, something you can't really do in any of the regions previously mentioned. Skiing has always been one of my favorite pastimes to do, so I'll take any chance I can get to crash into a tree at Mach speed. There are also 3 Great Lakes, said to be guarded by a trio of legendary Pokemon, but if you don't care about superstitions, it's a great place to kayak and have a picnic. And while the beaches here might be a bit small and most likely very cold, luckily there's an island to the northeast which has a very tropical climate and features an active volcano as well as zone battle frontier. And for you 1%ers out there, then I welcome you to the resort area, where you can chillax and find a level 100 Magikarp in the pond. Sinnoh rates very highly for its winter-like atmosphere and variety of activities to partake in. However, if you aren't a fan of the cold, then I would recommend not going here. It's an acquired taste. That said, the contests here are just as good as Hoenn's, and having one of the only 2 battle frontiers in the world is a massive plus. There's also plenty of lore and mystery on the region's past and legendary Pokemon for you scholars out there. Also, I'd like to shout out the Pokemon League building. So beautiful, especially with the view we get from Sunny Shore City. But now it's time for a change in scenery.
I say now throwing balls, catching some garbage.
And now we arrive in the land of living ice cream and sentient garbage. It's good to be home. Compared to all the regions before this, Unova has a lot more of a hustle and bustle vibe going for it. This is perfectly encapsulated by perhaps the crown jewel of the region, Castelia City. Unova was based on the state of New York, and it's pretty easy to see what city Castelia took inspiration from. From the tall skyscrapers, to the narrow alleyways with secret clubs inside of them, to the amount of people walking the streets. It really does capture the feeling of being in NYC, although I don't see any cars anywhere. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't feel like being stuck in city traffic in a Pokemon game, thank you very much. There's also multiple piers where you can take a scenic boat tour across the city, go to Liberty Gardens, see the not Statue of Liberty, go to Verbank City, or go to Unity Tower, which 90% of you probably don't even know existed. And right to the north of Castelia, we got Nimbasa City, home to the first ever sports stadium. Woo! Go Icarus Jonigans! There's also a mini amusement park here featuring a Ferris wheel and a roller coaster. And then there's the runway model where you can strut your stuff if so desired. There is also a performance hall where you can dress your Pokemon up and have them perform in a musical. They're separate from contests, they're not the same thing, I don't want to hear any comparisons. Also, there's a battle subway, where you can battle trainers on a moving subway. How they're able to get away with this without violating several health regulations and damaging the subway cars is beyond me, but it's an option. If you're a train enthusiast, I would highly recommend checking out Anvil Town, literally built on a train track. Verbank City is right next to Pokestar Studios if you want to see how films like Fall Arbor Guy are made. Nacrete has a museum full of fossils to learn about. And then we got Black City and White Forest, 2 giant landscapes filled with skyscrapers and trees respectively. They even feature their own battle facilities. Lastly, we have Undella Town, which is just a cozy little beach. I hear the weather this time of year is great. Let's go ask one of the residents. One of Unova's little quirks is the scale of its bridges. Just look at how big and pretty Sky Arrow Bridge is. Welcome you to the big city as you bike over the ocean. The bridge and Driftrail gives heavy Golden Gate vibes, and one of the towns is even built on top of a bridge. Truly a sight to behold. Now, one of my favorite attractions in the entire series is the Marine Tube. Just seeing all the Pokemon swim around you as you free to walk around, it's just such a good feeling. You feel truly one with the ocean, without the caveat of having to be wet. I always like to imagine the theme of this place is like playing on the speakers all around the tube. I think that'd be pretty cool. Also, a shout out to the Pokemon League building. I always love seeing how extravagant they can make it look, with the theme this time around being looking like an ancient castle / Roman Colosseum. I'm here for it. There is also the Entralink if you want to count it, although it's more so a minigame than a place. And just recently discovered, if you have children, may I suggest enrolling them in Blueberry Academy, where instead of learning about math and science, they can learn about how to make a competitive doubles team and value strength and winning above all else, like how Arceus intended. If we go underwater, we can see that there's actually an underwater ruins that are filled with ancient treasures and hidden passageways that can excite the explorers out there. And lastly, I can't talk about Unova without bringing up the Pokemon World Tournament. In this battle hall, trainers, gym leaders, Elite Four members, and even champions from around the world come to compete in tournaments to determine who reigns supreme. You already know tickets are sold out mere hours before they go on sale. Especially my boy Chuck's competing. All in all, Unova is an exciting region filled with fun things to do and sights to see. While parts of Unova can be a bit overwhelming to some people, to those looking for a thrill and love to explore, then I highly recommend checking it out. Whew, all this talking is tiring me out. I can really go for a baguette. And where's the best place to get one? From America straight to France, Kalos comes in swinging. During some interviews with the developers of X and Y, they said the main theme of these games was beauty, and that is very apparent when you look at some of these locales. You have a corn town having the entire ground made out of brick, with a bridge going over the canal. The Roselia statue in Santalune highlighting the value for flowers in this town as well as the ruin north of it. Chalor City having an incredible view of the Tower of Mastery. So many of the towns in Kalos are just so pretty to look at. Some of my favorites are Lavere for its autumn aesthetic, Dendemil for its windmill and rollerblade accessibility, and Snowball for being one of the only cities in the series to actually be snow-themed. But the true creme de la crop is, of course, Lumiose City, the beating heart of Kalos. Where to even start? To this day, Lumiose is the largest city in any Pokemon game. I mean, look at this map. It's like looking at a map of NYC. It's so big that there are taxis all around that can take you to wherever you want to go. But if you want to be fancy about it, you can even take a go-go instead. Each avenue and plaza are filled with shops, cafes, boutiques, and more to fit all your needs. Although, fair warning, if you're not dripped out, they might not let you in. This is also the only place in the entire series to feature Michelin star restaurants, so you already know where I'm eating. And then there's Lumiose Tower, which bears a striking resemblance to the Eiffel Tower. Must be a coincidence. Also, bonus points for having that be the gym, nice touch. Arguably, this is one of the best cities in the franchise, and I'm so excited to see what it looks like in Legend Z. But anyways, time to see what there is to do in this place. So this is the first region to have a gimmick tied to it, and the gimmick this time around is Mega Evolution. Usually these newer regions have a location that's tied to the gimmick, and in this case you have the Tower of Mastery in Chalor City, a building in which the history of Mega Evolution is contained, as well as a giant statue of Mega Lucario. I mean, I don't think it's a controversial thing to say that Megas are one of the better ideas Game Freak has had over the years, so I will happily take that Mega Ring with pride. In Anastar, there's this giant sundial that I don't even know how it exists. Just look at the size of that boy. Reflection Cave offers a unique spin on caves as it has mirrors all across the walls. Some of the routes even have little skate parks, putting a big emphasis on rollerblading. I'm honestly surprised when this has come back. I mean, this is pretty cool if you ask me. And then you have Parfum Palace, a giant castle/mansion with an even bigger backyard, who just allows people to pay a visit to his house. Like, alright, I guess, why not? Also, there's statues of Reshiram and Zekrom here. Weird. Have you ever wondered where Pokeballs are made? Well, they're made here at the Pokeball Factory. Can you imagine how much money the owner of this place makes? God, whoever invented the Pokeball must be a trillionaire by now. And if you want to talk about impressive Pokemon League buildings, then just look at the size of this boy. Absolutely breathtaking. I can only imagine the amount of unpaid Machokes and Smeargles it took to make that. Unique to Kalos is the traditional pastime of Rhyhorn racing. I mean, it's not the first Pokemon I would choose to race with, but hey, who am I to judge? Silage City is made entirely out of a bike path? Like, what's even going on here? And a lot of the routes are also really good too. Like the one with all the orange leaves, or the snowy path you have to ride a Mammothswine to get through. Also, the one you get to ride Sinnoh on is great. In conclusion, if Unova was all about getting out there and doing stuff, then Kalos is all about taking everything in and seeing the sights. Also the food. I cannot forget to mention the food. As far as living here goes, I think you'll be very satisfied with what Kalos has to offer. And now it's time for summer season again. Alola, welcome to Hawaii. God, I still can't get over the fact that they named the region just Aloha with an L instead of an H. Either way, as an island-based region, you're going to notice that this place is split between 4 separate islands. So let's go through them one by one. Melemele is the most standard out of the 4. With 2 towns here, there's Iki Town and Hali City. Iki Town is a very old town with Hawaiian-styled huts that has historic ties to Tapu Koko, the island's guardian deity. Hali City offers a great beachside, a shopping district, and marina to take you to other islands. One major difference between this and more other traditional regions is the amount of beaches and the weather being warm all year round, already making Alola a premier vacation spot. But other than those 2 towns, the rest of Melemele is just some cliffsides and meadows. Akala Island is essentially a bigger Melee with a bit more landmarks. Hey City is just Howley again. Paldea Town is a western-inspired settlement, so all you cowboys and cowgirls out there can finally have a place to call home. It even has a ranch. And then there's Coney, which is filled with merchants and a photo club. But the real attraction to Akala is the Royal Avenue, home of the Battle Royal Dome. You ever just want to see 4 Pokemon go in a boxing ring and fight until only 1 remains? Me too. If you just want to visit Alola, might I recommend staying at the Hoenn Grand Resort, the biggest and most luxurious resort in the entire region. Fair warning though, the hotel is usually booked a year in advance. And as far as scenery, you have the big volcano here, as well as some forested beaches. Ula Island is home to a Johto-inspired town titled Miley City. All the buildings have Asian-style roofs, and there's even a garden area that features a giant tower resembling the towers in Yakartik. Then you have Po Town, but I don't think you want to live in Po Town. Let's just say things get active at night, if you know what I'm saying. Mount Hokalani is home to a space observatory, which often finds Minior flying through the sky. And Mount Lanakila is the only cold place in Alola, and is the site of the newly established Pokemon League. As for Pony Island, most of it is just the setting of Monster Hunter Wilds. Outside of one town, it's mostly just wastelands. There's some cool ruins scattered about, as well as this giant pedestal where the player encounters Solgaleo Lunala, so there's still some man-made stuff in here, but the big appeal of Pony Island is just a battle tree. Climb up the tree while knocking out your foes at the same time? I'm telling you, the lawsuits for this place must be crazy. If my Gumshoes misses 1 tackle and falls off on floor 37, he is done for. And lastly, we have Ether Paradise, an artificial island which houses a Pokemon sanctuary that people can visit and look at all the Pokemon. I promise that nothing shady happens here. I swear it does not get active at night. But yeah, that's pretty much Alola. As far as vacationing, it's an extremely ideal spot due to its year-round hot weather, plethora of nature and beaches, and a traditional style culture of people to appreciate. Living here, however, could prove to be a headache for some, as the amount of tourists would probably become aggravating at some point, and I can't imagine the cost of living here being cheap either. But if you get past that, then what's waiting for you is a year-round paradise where all you have to worry about is having fun in the sun. Okay, I really can't think of a segue for Galar right now, so I'm just gonna put this here and move on. You like England? Then you'll like Galar. Well, I can't say I'm too fond of Sword and Shield as games. As a region to live in, I think it's got a lot going for it. I think you can split this region in 2 parts. The first part is that old cottage style farm side vibe, where the houses are rustic looking and there's a lot of space between houses that are filled with grass and nature. Towns like Postwick, Wedgehurst, and Turfield come to mind. A big standout location in Galar is Bologna, a town built deep in a forest with luminescent mushrooms lighting up the entire area. God, it's so pretty. I also like Chichester a lot. Snowy towns just do it for me a lot of the time. I don't know what to say. They're just so cozy. But then you have the other half of the region, which is the big city / industrial side of England. Modestoke has all these steampunk-inspired gears with an elevator to take you to the other side of the city. Hammerlock is essentially a giant castle with a bunch of buildings surrounding it. And Winden is the entertainment center of the region, being the most technically advanced, as well as having things like Ferris wheels, which we can't go to! Okay, deep breaths. Though lack of content aside, Winden does have some nice parks and cool scenery to it, and the big appeal for a lot of people comes in the form of the Wild Area, a giant section of the region with no civilization, meaning you can see all types of different Pokemon in their natural habitat. While there hasn't been a traditional safari zone in a while, this is the closest we have gotten to one in a hot minute. Many people enjoy camping here and cooking curry, while others get their starters stomped by a level 60 Snorlax. So for this region specifically, the main source of entertainment all stems from one thing: gym battles. Unlike other regions, the battles here are spectacles, with thousands of fans watching in massive football stadiums. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot I'm in Galar. American football stadiums. And with the gimmick of this generation being Dynamaxing, the excitement of watching 2 kaijus duke it out is nothing if not entertaining. Unless you're trying to wake up early tomorrow with all the years of crowd chanting as Pikachu zaps his opponent to death, that could probably be a bit annoying. And what's especially exciting is that the Pokemon League Challenge is a tournament, as opposed to a traditional gauntlet. And with it taking place in the Winden Stadium, you already know the height levels are through the roof. Now there is also the Isle of Armor, which has a dojo you can join, as well as the Crown Tundras for you explorers out there, but I wouldn't say they're a great place to live in. Also, Freezington? Really? What's next? Biscuitburg? All in all, Galar excels at making you feel like you're in Harry Potter land. The towns and routes all have a unique charm to them with some great historical landmarks to boot. The main appeal is the gym battles, so if you don't like those, there's not a whole lot to do other than that. It's similar to Kanto, a great retirement region. But finally, we are brought into the modern generation with Hola. So this region is a bit different compared to every other one. With this being the first truly open world Pokemon game, the region's layout reflects that. Most of the towns are very spread out from each other and loosely connected by some very open-ended routes. The heart of the region is Mesagosa, home to the Naranja/Uva Academy, a prestigious academy which involves sending its students across the country to learn how to be epic or something along those lines. And for some reason they call it a treasure hunt. What this means is that no matter where you are in the region, you're going to see little kids running around with their Rotom phones taking pictures of random people saying they completed their challenges. I have a sneaking suspicion TikTok would be very popular here. Artazone is a town centered around Sunflora. It's a very floral area. Cascar offers service at an oasis in the desert which has a restaurant run by a gym leader. In Porto Marinda, there's even a marketplace here where customers can buy illegal Sharpedo fin soup and Warlord sausages. Montenevera is located on top of a mountain and hosts a big old ski track. And Lavencia serves as the big city, with big old skyscrapers and whatnot all around. Now, there is this ginormous crater in the middle of the region. However, normal people aren't allowed to access it, so you can't really go there. And as for some of the other routes, they're kind of like by the books at this point. The one that really stands out, I'd say, would be this bamboo forest. I haven't really seen anything like that in these games yet, so it's pretty cool. But other than that, I think Paldea is pretty much a get-what-you-can-see kind of region. Paldea is just similar to Kanto and Galar in the sense that there's not much to do necessarily, but it's still a nice-looking region. There are plenty of shops all around, and oftentimes a lot of the town people end up watching gym battles. But overall, it's just very quaint compared to the others, which could be a good thing. And with that, that is every region covered. With the Pokemon world being so big and lively, I can see plenty of reasons for people to pick any region I listed here. These are just the mainline regions I listed off. There's plenty of others like the ones in Pokemon Ranger and Pokemon Coliseum. The possibilities are endless. Now, if I had to choose, personally I'm a bit torn between Sinnoh, Unova, and Kalos. I feel like I could go in any one of those directions. But let me know where you guys would live. I'm very curious what you have to say. And big thanks to Solid JJ for appearing in the video. Link in the description. Well, until next time, see ya!